Hello there everybody, Playtendoguy here, and welcome to my review of Crash Bandicoot the N.sane Trilogy. Nostalgia is a wonderful thing, but it's also a very dangerous thing to play with, and for many people, Crash Bandicoot is something that's very close to their hearts. So the N.sane Trilogy has a lot of hype and anticipation going for it, but if they mess it up, a lot of people won't be very happy. But thankfully, the game is a wonderful trip to the past. Crash Bandicoot the N.sane Trilogy is an interesting setup. It's a collection of the first three and arguably best games in the series being spruced up with new graphics and quality of life improvements for a new generation of gamers. The game isn't really a remake, but it's much more than a remaster. Think on the lines of the SNES classic Super Mario All-Stars, which took all the NES games and spruced them up for the SNES, with new graphics and the like, and you've got a good idea of what the N.sane Trilogy is like. The biggest standout point for this game for me is just how beautiful it all looks. When the game was first announced, I thought it would just be the PS1 games just ported over to the PS4 store. But no, the games have seen a huge graphical leap from the original. Everything now looks like a Saturday morning cartoon. Take the cutscenes from all the three games, they are so impeccably detailed it's easy to mistake it for a Pixar movie. It's that good. Levels themselves are also well detailed. Jungles now flourish with loads of foliage, the factory levels benefit from some incredible lighting work, and the motorbike levels in Crash Bandicoot 3 have some great road textures. It all looks a far cry from the original's now rather muddy looking textures. Crash himself is also stunningly detailed with some great facial expressions and humorous deaf and idle animations that add loads of charm and character to him. It isn't just the graphics that see a HD upgrade, the soundtrack and the voice acting has seen some work too. The soundtrack is a huge mix of upbeat and high-tempo tracks. While some of the old tracks don't move over to this game, the whole soundtrack on the whole is awesome, and I really hope they release a soundtrack sometime in the future. Now, for a bunch of games that are around 20 years old, it's easy to dismiss these games as dated and well past it. But surprisingly, the games still stand up quite well. The levels are very linear compared to many 3D platformers. The game levels are mostly made of fixed 3D stages, which are very similar to walking down a straight corridor, with very little room to move left or right, side-on 2D levels, and fun chase-like levels like the one where Crash is being chased by a boulder in true Indiana Jones fashion. But now let's talk about the games themselves. First up is the original Crash Bandicoot, and holy crap, this game is hard. Seriously, it's bloody difficult. You'll be dying loads of times and you'll be pretty accustomed to the game over screen by the time you complete the game. The reason why the game is so hard is because of the awkward enemy placement and the occasional cheap death. But nevertheless, completing a very hard level like the high road or slippery climb is a very satisfying experience. My only real fault with the original game is about the final third of the game. All the levels are set in jungle-like areas, and I wish there was a little bit more variety in the areas of levels you go to, but thankfully the sequels rectified this problem. Crash Bandicoot 2, Cortex Strikes Back is pretty much what you call a perfect sequel. It ups the ante from the previous game and offers a huge range of variety. The levels feel easier than the first, but there's still plenty of moments where it does get quite challenging. Add in loads of new collectibles, secret levels, and the rather hard death routes, and Crash Bandicoot 2 has a lot to offer. And the final level, Crash Bandicoot Warp, builds upon Cortex Strikes Back with even more variety in its levels. The game includes a load of new vehicle stages. Some of them, like the airplane levels and the underwater sections, are quite fun, but the jet ski and the motorbike racing ones are quite infuriatingly bad. The game is probably the easiest of the bunch thanks to Crash's new arsenal of items and upgrades, but nevertheless it still has its difficult moments and still a very fun game. All the games see massive quality of life improvements like autosave and a proper save system with 3 save slots for each game. The checkpoint system also sees a nice little upgrade which allows you to have more checkpoints if you die too often in a level, which is a nice helping hand for gamers. Another helpful inclusion is all games have a box tally which shows you how many boxes you've smashed in each level. Also new is the relics from Crash Bandicoot Warped, which are like time trials for the levels, but they are now in all 3 games, which marks the first time Crash 1 and Cortex Strikes Back have had this feature. But probably the biggest inclusion is Crash's sister Coco is now playable in all 3 games. The only levels you can't play her in is in the boss battles and the Crash motorbike stages. She functions pretty much the same as Crash, but she has her own load of kooky and fun animations to set her apart. As for the length of each game, it can vary. If you play through all the games from start to finish, only getting the crystals and completing the levels, then each game will take you around 5 hours each. But that's only part of the fun. All the games are begging to be replayed, as there's a huge amount of secrets to find, gems to collect and relics to earn, and secret levels to complete. If you choose to search for all this stuff, it can easily turn these 5-hour games into 20+ hour games, and for the price of £30, heck, that's a lot of game for your price. Conclusion time now, and this game could have gone wrong for many reasons, but thankfully Vicarious Visions did a masterful job of resurrecting Crash with a wonderful collection of games. And it goes to show how great developers Naughty Dog are, that a bunch of 20-year-old games are still fun today. The N.sane Trilogy is a huge labour of love with stunning graphics and loads of great quality of life improvements, and additions to make it one of the best platformers on the PS4. The N.sane Trilogy gets a 9 out of 10 with the title of brilliant. Thank you for watching my review, like, rate and subscribe, and until next time, happy gaming. Bye.